See how my fingers are right now?
If he wasn't such a low. It recognizes our belief in God, our country, not just individuals, our country, our founding fathers codified this in the documents that founded this country. Our reliance, our belief in God, and our reliance upon God. Of that, there's just no debate on that. You may like it, may not like it. Declaration of Independence, we find these truths to be self-evident, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, of which are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It goes on in the Constitution to say we are putting together this Constitution in a preamble to secure the blessings, not only for ourselves, for posterity. And that Constitution followed with a Bill of Rights that enumerated those godly rights given to man, including the very first one, which was the right to believe in God and to express that belief anytime, anywhere, including the public square.
33 million. It's proven to the money investors that people want something to feed their souls, not just their worst desires.
Absolutely.
And
yes, indeed.
This kind of sums up my entire dialogue career on the heat of the night. You ready for this? Okay, this is it. My 7 years on the heat of the night. My dialogue all summarized into this. Get right on it, Chief.
Back to Hollywood, to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry, No Retreat. I'm old Alan Autry, so honored and humbled to have you with us today. As always, Taco Tuesday, so named by our guest. Well, he's not even a guest anymore. I keep introducing Bullet Bob Leone as a guest. He's now co-host, part of the KXEX family. We're so blessed to have you. Welcome aboard, Bobby, again.
Hello, Huss. Good morning. Oh, I guess it's afternoon.
Well, yeah, who cares? We're old. Nobody cares.
Day goes by quick.
It goes by quick. Yes, welcome to the show that starts off slow and tapers off. Hey, but you know what? We're not fast food. Most radio is fast food. I love, Bongino, those guys. Hey, Bongino, go to a break. Go to a break. We sit down. We're a sit-down dinner, not fast food. There's something to be said for a sit-down dinner. We take a subject, we put it on our plate, we take a little bite of that subject, we let it digest, we talk. I mean, we slow things. We're a slow jam.
Slow jam.
We're the slow.
We have no choice but to be a slow jam at our age.
Have you seen that Saturday night? Who's the host that did that slow jam with Barack Obama? I normally don't find him funny, but my son turned me on to that skit. All right, starting off a little lighthearted here, but a lot of stuff going on. Well, first, I got to do a mea culpa. Friday, I just lost track of the day, the time. Sadly, it just didn't register. We had Memorial Day coming up, and I wasn't going to be back on the radio. I thought, Monday, Memorial Day, I'll be able to come in and and I just realized that the staff wasn't here. We're going to take his well-deserved day off, Bobby.
Yep. forgot all about it.
And we didn't. Well, I thought we had.
Totally.
I thought we had Monday, and this hour goes by so fast. But my goodness, our salute goes out here in 1 day later. But as I said in a tweet, on Memorial Day, as it should be every day, we give a big thank you to those who gave the full measure of devotion, dying for the cause of liberty and freedom so we can enjoy the freedoms that we have today. And so, again, to those who paid that ultimate price, just how do you say, I thank you, Bobby?
Yep.
How do you say thank you? Words?
Remembering.
Yeah.
Remember those who gave, like Uncle Bob in World War II, our buddies in
Gary
Vietnam,
Dent.
Gary Dent, Domingo Garcia, and Larry Motley, who were killed at 19. I think Gary was 20 back in 1971. Larry died in 69, and Domingo died in 69, a couple of months apart from each other, actually, in July and October 69. So you just remember them.
Some things can be repeated.
Don't forget those guys.
Absolutely. Sometimes slogans can be repeated so often that they lose their effect. But there's one slogan, if you will, that we should never let it lose its impact. Because it's so meaning, and that is freedom is not free. It's paid with an awful price.
Yep.
And we need to make our kids understand that, pass that on, word of mouth. Because you know what? Let's quit depending on the schools to do that job. Used to be in school, they would, during history, they would touch on these subjects in a real way, and honor, the fallen in a proper way, from the Pledge of Allegiance to the history books to just the whole culture was surrounded around a respect for freedoms and the veterans and war. So, but that's not quite there per square inch as it used to be, is it?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. In fact, of course, when we grew up, a lot of the teachers that we had, the male teachers, were in World War II.
Our sixth grade teacher, Boyd Cole, folks.
Boyd Cole.
One of the most gentle men you would ever meet in your life. Made a difference in so many lives. Just like Mr. Rogers comes to mind.
He was a great
Wasn't he, Robert? He was kind of like Mr. Rogers. He was walking in. I never saw him lose his temper. Seen him cry a couple of times when Kennedy got shot.
Yep.
Remember, we were in class.
Yep.
Sixth grade when Dickie Andrews walked in, went up to Mr. Cole, whispered in his ear, and Mr. Cole, tears welled up in his eyes, and Mr. Cole told us that our president had been shot. Shocking moments of our life. I don't think any of us have completely gotten over that. But he was a tail gunner.
In a B-17, yeah.
Shot down.
And I never knew that until, unfortunately, his funeral, when they mentioned that.
Yeah.
I never knew.
And just like most of those World War II veterans, they didn't talk.
Didn't say a word.
They didn't say, hey, look at me, I was a war hero. But here was this gentle man back, and he told me the story one time, college, we happened to get together, and I'd known this. And I asked him about it, and he told me about it. And the pilot was killed, and he crashed, I think, over Germany, or I think it was Germany, Italy. And a farmer found him and saved his life.
Yeah.
And anyway, our sincere thank yous and appreciation to those who gave their life in the defense of freedom, and also those Gold Star families out there. We love you and thank you, because, as I make my mistake on Friday and don't remember to do the right thing, or I made a mistake, there's just no excuse. I thought we were going to be on Monday at the time. The hour went by. A lot of reasons, but no excuses. You, the Gold Star families, are reminded every day, and we just want to say we love you. Okay, also going from that to, and we've got to touch on this, is the funerals today in Uvalde, Texas, for the kids.
Starting today.
As days go by, it doesn't get any easier for me. So this one I can't shake, nor I think I should shake.
Yeah, I think we need to keep that in our collective consciousness.
Tough thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's
tough burying a kid.
Yeah, and
been there and done that. That's no fun.
You have done that in your life.
A major
parents never walk in your shoes.
You get through it, and I hope I don't start crying.
It don't matter.
And who
about,
talked me through that? Your mom.
Mm.
Your mom helped talk me through that. She talked me through my mom's passing, And I went out. I don't know if I ever told you this story. Can we reminisce for a minute? Are your fans going to get upset?
You went and played golf.
No.
You did?
The one day I didn't play golf. But I after my mom passed away, I went out. I said, because you're sitting there and you don't know what to do. Everything's over. Funeral's over. All the people are gone. You've had enough to eat, because they're always bringing food. And my dad was being taken care of. So, I'm going to go say hello to Vernie. So I drove out to her house, the last place you guys lived. And she talked me through that. And she said, Robert, she always called me that, time will heal, but you'll never forget. And she was, as usual, a woman of few words, but man, did they hit home and make an impact. So she talked me through that, and I've always remembered that. And everything that, whenever folks pass or whatever, I always try to remember that because, you'll get through the hard stuff. Just don't forget. Just, keep remembering them as they were. And she helped me through that. And I'll always remember that. And, God bless her.
Well, she
was a woman of few words, but she could make them count.
Well, she loved her some Robert Leone.
Yeah, well,
no, she told me she was her second son, and she just loved you. That was the World War II generation too that we were talking about. She was a Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, I know you've said that.
And you know what drove her crazy? I mean, and she wouldn't. I never heard Mom yell ever. She'd get quiet. She never yelled. And I never really saw her to the point where she exhibited her frustration in a big way, a physical way.
No, I never.
And
I never.
When you criticize the president, whether she'd agree with the president or not, when you they grew up, you just didn't do that. President Roosevelt, they was revered, and you just didn't. And when they criticized Carter, I mean, got really dirty, personal. God, it bothered her. When they criticized Reagan. Now, I don't know what her mom's politics were. I really don't. All I know, she was consistent on that. She just wanted people to be honest, say what you're going to do and do it. If she can trust you and you're honest, that went a long way with her. And I think that can be said of many in that World War II generation.
Oh, definitely.
Just be who you say you are.
Yeah.
Don't be a fake. And respect the office of the President of the United States. That was
my dad had, I don't know I don't even know if he voted half the time knowing him. But I never knew, he thought Roosevelt was a wonderful president, I think. At least that's what I recall. My mom was a Kennedy Democrat because you want to know why? Because he was a Catholic.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
So she voted for Kennedy.
She
loved that.
A pro-life.
Yeah, she
try to find one of those in the political realm.
She had a picture of him in her bedroom, of John Kennedy after he was killed, of him in her bedroom.
Yeah,
and a little, I forget what the biblical verse was on the Bible verse there. She loved that guy, and my dad liked him because he was a World War II vet,
right?
And did some good things in the service. So.
Well, we've done a little strolling down memory lane.
We have.
Up into the break. We hadn't planned on that, but that's the thing about the Alan Autry No Retreat show with Bullet Bob Leone. Life is show's like a box of chocolates. You never know where you're going to go with it. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Biden now has said he's gone from what inflation to inflation's the number one priority, and he's going to do something about it. Mama would be upset about that. Criticizing the president. Mama, I'm sorry. When I get to heaven,
talked about that.
And then we're going to also talk about the manager of your team. The San Francisco Giants, Gabe Kapler, has decided that, dadgummit, he's mad. He's mad at what happened here in the Red Directions country, so he's just not going to go out there and honor the flag during the national anthem. We're going to talk about that. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat with Bullet Bob Leone. We'll be right back.
Stick it wicked. Good old Hatch always used to say.
I always got to do a disclaimer to tell the inform the social media folks, because I think they cut that off because there's, the logarithm grabs you if a song comes on because there's copyright stuff. Radio hears it all the way through.
Oh,
but sometimes I'll start jamming, sounds off,
and then
I'm
you
looking
look like a weirdo.
I'm looking like James Carey and Liar.
What else? It's just Autry acting like he normally does.
Yeah.
Lay off the coffee.
No, act like when I was back to pass and those NFL linemen are coming after me. I turned into Curly, the Three Stooges all of a sudden.
A little bit different than the Carruthers.
I went from John Wayne in the huddle. All right, far right, K30, X blast, on 2. Let's go, guys. Break the huddle. Get up there. Blue 80, blue 80. Sit. Hut. I mean, in a matter of seconds, you go from the Duke to Curly.
Oh, hey,
but they made an actor out of me, Hurry, and I can still walk. You know what I felt?
How are the knees, though?
Oh, the knee's not bad. Just the left knee, and I hurt that in college.
Well, you hurt that one up at Washington.
Yes, I did. Scrambling with my blazing 5.2 speed and 40, which you pointed out. Where you pointed out, I don't know if you remember that when you came to see me. Well, he looks at me instead of saying, Kyle Haas, I hope you heal quickly. What were you doing? Scrambling when you're 5.2 speed
on that brand new artificial turf.
God, folks.
And who was the quarterback at Washington at that point?
Sonny Six Killer.
The great Sonny Six Killer. Gosh. That guy he could throw the ball.
You know, and the irony, he wound up becoming an alcoholic.
Oh, is that right?
And the name was Six Killer. I always thought that was and I'm not trying to be funny because I had my battle with alcohol, but I think there's some irony in it. Sonny Six Killer. That was great quarterback.
Great name.
American Indian.
Yeah.
But he didn't play that game.
Oh, he didn't.
His backup. You know, they only beat us 14-8. I was in Fuego. I was 8 for 10. We were coming down.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 8 for 10
the game
before I got hurt.
Oh, before you got hurt. Okay.
I got hurt before the about a minute into the second quarter. So I was just feeling 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah.
Therein lies the reason.
Because that was
I scrambled with
sophomore year,
junior.
Yeah.
Got a red shirt year.
Yeah.
But I went back and it just opened up. Like the Red Sea, like Moses, it just opened up. I said, "Hey, it's 3rd and 5. I just got to get.
I'm going to get this thing."
So
I'm going to be like Fran Tarkenton.
I start trucking, looking to the left, looking to the right, looking over there again, and all of a sudden, by Louie, Gordy Gwynn.
Nailed you on the knee.
I'll never forget it, Gordy Gwynn. Put me on the sidelines with what they call the unholy triad: anterior cruciate, medial collateral, torn completely, and all the meniscus.
Meniscus, yeah.
He said, "I'd never walk again, much less play ball."
Well, you did.
But mine was the story of getting up, not getting knocked down.
It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up.
Rafe, was it? Rafe and Cinda?
Rafe and Cinda.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. So happy to have you with us. My goodness, on Taco Tuesday. Got a short week this week. And listen, before we get into Biden's inflation remarks, you met with Jerome Powell, by the way, Pearl, the Fed chairman, and he's got a plan. Biden's got a plan to bring down that dreaded inflation, and I'm feeling secure, aren't you?
Okay,
yeah,
but at least there's a plan.
Yeah, we've got a lot of comments on Friday's show on the gun control issue, and some people just really getting some strong feelings one way or the other on the thing, and I think a lot of folks, let me just explain something. When I lay a question out there to be discussed, it doesn't necessarily mean I believe the question I'm putting out there or the statement. So many people out there today, the political landscape, if you just utter something for discussion and it's not in line with them, go freaking ballistic. For example, I would say, well, what is wrong with having some added gun control measures that don't infringe on the Second Amendment? Boy, you would think that I just said, hey, I'm for gun confiscation. and we got to grow up. Maybe it's my 8 years as mayor. When you're dealing with the welfare of a city, Bobby, you want the tough questions out there. When you've got crime-ridden neighborhoods and you got to find out solutions, I don't want all this petty little silliness. Well, I'm not going to put something before the mayor because he may not like it or he might get offended. You tell me if a policy I have is not working, or put a possibility. I may not like it. I'll get some consultation on it. It might be totally 180 from what I'd ever do, but put it on the table for discussion, because you know what? My take on it may not be this other person's take on it, and they may have, just may have, a pretty dang good case that I need to listen to. What do you think about
now,
that? Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this. As we have aged gently in our lives, do you feel like...
I almost choked on that. Took off radio folks, I was taking a sip of my Starbucks here. I really did. I almost pushed that out my nose. Go ahead.
Do you feel? Do you feel? I mean, I know I have. Do you feel as you've gotten older, gotten more experience in various areas, that you're more open to hearing different points of view and considering those points of view in your ultimate decision, or do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel with that?
I have what I call unshakable principles and flexible politics. Okay. Unshakable principles mean you're never going to get me off of thinking to take a life out of the womb. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
you're never going to convince me that government does a much better job than the private sector of implementing something. But I do believe in some cases, like in Fresno, when you had the private sector run out of housing, people went to jail because of it, Operation Rezone, and you dig a 30-year hole that was dug by government. It's going to take government help, public-private partnerships to get out of that hole and bring some opportunity to our southern section. So, yeah, I do believe in certain instances public-private partnerships. That's just one example. But I think you had so many times, and in this world, we have unshakable politics and flexible principles. In other words, here's some dude who has a D by his name that is totally unfit to be in office, is scandal after scandal, but because they have a D running against the R, you're going to vote for that D. You're going to vote for the party, not the principle, not the person, not the character. Same thing with the Republicans. They run some doofus out there with an R by their name. You know, you put Adam Kissinger out there. You put, Mitt Romney, the El Camino Republican out there, that's marching with a Marxist organization saying he's for individual liberties. You don't expect, well, if you don't vote for Mitt, you're a bad Republican.
Yeah.
Rather than, so in that it's changed. I've become more entrenched in my principles, but more flexible politics. And I tell you, in the radio world, it's pick a side. Now, people know if you had to put me in a box, Bobby, not like you, it would probably be conservative out there. I have more conservatives. I'm pro-life. I'm for strong national defense, secure borders. I'm for non-burdensome taxation for individuals, families, and businesses. I'm for energy independence. So, you're conservative. And yeah, but I will talk about some sensible gun controls. I'm for the Second Amendment. I die for the Second Amendment. Because if you don't have the Second Amendment, you have nothing to protect the First Amendment. Yeah. But they want it. These things are either a far right talk show host or a far left talk show.
Well, and that's what's so. I would say that I'm a conservative as well, but it seems to me, to answer my own question, I guess, as I've gotten older and really looked at things, tried to look at things from both sides, not radical right, radical left, but more of a centrist, I guess. And I know people hate that phrase. Well, I try to balance it out and understand what they're trying to tell me, what their side of it is versus what my personal feelings are. And I think that's at least helped me to develop a little bit better understanding of the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever side that might be.
And Robert Leone is sitting here. I hear these Republicans, and I'm going to get on the Democrats, but dadgummit, I tell you, I've been accused all you do is apologists for the Republicans. Do you listen to the show at all? If you did, you'd know how absurd that statement is. The Republicans, you hear every single one of them, Jeff Jordan, Matt Gaetz, they always invoke the name of Reagan. I'm a Reagan Republican. No, you're not. No, you're not. I followed you. I know how you think. I've seen you vilify people that are truly Reagan-esque in their beliefs. If Reagan was in the political arena right now, you'd rhino him in a primary.
Yeah.
He would never get to. Why? Because he raised taxes twice. He declared amnesty for about 11 million.
11 to 12.
11 million. And he said later, I regretted that, but he did it. You wouldn't have let him forget that.
No.
You would have primaried his butt.
Yeah.
So don't give me. And you know who he spent the most time with in his time as as president? I say this all the time. A lot of people don't remember. It was a guy named Tip O'Neill. Tip O'Neill was the farthest left liberal in Hollywood, in Washington at that time.
Yep.
He was a senator. And he spent time because his deal was called the Reagan Compromise. He said, if I get 60% of what I want out of Tip O'Neill, are we 60% friends or 40% enemies? In Reagan's mind, he was 60% friends. And he would say things like this. It's not that Democrats are dumb. It's not that. It's just that they know so much about what isn't so. Now compare that with the rhetoric going on now.
Well, but they were at least able to talk.
Exactly.
Now it's so vicious and becomes so personal that these folks can't even talk.
And you get primaried if you talk. That's the point. Because these primaries are controlled by the far left and the far right. You got BLM controlling left. You don't toe the BLM line. On here in the far right, if you're not, if you're not for being able to, park a tank in your driveway and own a Stinger missile, to go hunting deer, you're
against the Second Amendment.
You're a rhino and against the Second Amendment. That's who's controlling things out there right now. Hey, let's go. We're going to take a break. We're going to go to Kyle because Kyle was on the line, I think, last week, and we didn't get to him. Kyle from Lake County, California. Kyle, how you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. How's it going, gentlemen?
Well, better than we deserve.
Yep.
Got a radio show in Fresno, California with you on the line. It pinched me. I'm living a dream.
Well, I couldn't really hear the show. They had me on mute, so I don't know what the subject is.
Well, we were talking about my acting career in the heat of the night.
And that didn't last. That conversation was short.
Well, the travesty was that I didn't get an Academy Award. No, we were talking about the political landscape, how it's so poisoned that if you don't pass the litmus test, and I, by the way, don't know who creates the litmus test within the parties, then you're a bad Republican, you're a bad Democrat. Therefore, as Bobby said, nobody's talking. And we evoke back in the day, as old dudes do, like we do, the Reagan era, who was called the Great Compromiser, the Great Communicator. And that was meant to be a term of endearment, of adulation, and how Reagan, not today, would be primary. He would never, because of some of the decisions he made and his not just willingness, his commitment to working with the other party to find solutions to major problems facing our country. So we're just saying that where do you really move this country forward at all unless you can find a way to get in at least the same freaking room? I don't care if you throw crap at each other for the first hour. The founding fathers did that. Get in the room, have it out, but at the end of the day, don't come out of there. We'll have pizza delivered till you have a good, sensible plan for inflation. You have a sensible plan for the border. So that's kind of where we're at. What's your take? That was just it in a nutshell. Heavy on the nut because you got two nuts here behind the mic.
In a nutshell, okay. Well, we need to get back to our constitutional republic.
Amen. Amen.
In a republic, both parties have to agree with what they're trying to pass, and that's the reason why we have filibusters. Is if one side doesn't agree, the other side gets up and tries to get them over on their side by communicating or convincing them that, or compromising, saying, okay, well, you want it this way, but we want it this way. Let's meet in the middle and do something that's good for the country, not for your constituents and not for your donors and all that. You start working for the country again, for the people of this country.
You just said something right there, and I keep thinking about the quote. I forget who said it. Said the American system, form of governance, including the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, is the worst form of government ever invented by man, except for all the rest. And you just, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
those
great comment.
Yeah, those are great guiding documents that we need to go back to. And you just said that, and I never looked at it that way. Really, I mean, in my mind, I got the concept, but I didn't, the direct connection to the Constitution that you said, we're a republic. We're not a democracy. We elect people to represent us, and we expect those representatives to work together. Bobby, Kyle's got a great point.
I think Kyle's got a great point, and go ahead.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just going to say, I believe it was Thomas Jefferson who said, who talked about the Constitution and talked about the way it's supposed to work. I just had it in my mind and I lost it.
No, that's all right. You'll think about it and bring it back on the air, buddy.
Yeah.
Anything else you got on your mind? Because it's a great call.
No, I don't know what happened in this country to where the government thinks that they have to protect us. And of course, I'm talking about the tragedy that just happened in Texas. If those parents show up to the school, I'm sorry, if my kid's in a school and is getting shot up, I'm bringing my rifle. I'm going into that school whether the cop says no or not.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to stand there like a bunch of lumps on a log and not do anything because they're waiting for their commander to tell them what to do,
yeah,
that's not the kind of place we need.
You know, you bring up a real good point. I really have seen rushes to judgment, and I'm not saying that you're doing that. I'm just saying that I want to hear the DOJ just today. I saw up on the screen here. They're going to go in and do an investigation, as we knew they probably would. And I'm going to wait till the investigation comes out. To me, it sure doesn't look good. To me, you look at the optics, and from what we're hearing now, that what you're saying, I would agree with a lot. But I need to hear everything else, especially when I've known, as mayor, I've seen the federal government, federal law enforcement agencies, the FBI in particular, throw local law enforcement under the bus in a heartbeat. Throw mayors under the bus in a heartbeat. When something's successful, they want all the glory. When something goes south, boy, it's local government's fault. Those inept local folks. So I want to hear, and Kyle, and I know I'm hitting nerves, but I promised you all honesty, not just when it was going to be easy for me, because I get it. I get the anger coming back for me even talking like this, but I promised you honesty, and I'll probably end up, and I in that camp of saying there was no excuse, but I want to hear everything. For example, did those locals come in there? Had the shooting stopped? Nobody heard the first shooting. There was no resource officer on duty. I'd like to know why that wasn't.
Yeah.
But they're in there. And the conversation that they had, did they say, hey, look, if we charge in there, we may panic this dude and he may shoot more? That's happened in hostage situations. Here in Fresno, you don't go in to a situation where it's a hostage situation. Did they think it was a hostage or still the active shooter? They had a big decision to make there. The one determination you can make, there's two, that they were a bunch of cowards sitting in the hallway, those six, I think it was six of them. They were just six gutless cowards that were too afraid to go in there. Or were they paralyzed by what was the right thing to do because of the procedures and the situation at hand? Was that a consideration? You burst through that door, and all of a sudden he just mows down 10 more kids. I mean, that's happened where you spook the hostage taker, and that's why. So my impulse is with you, Kyle. My impulse is with you, but I just want to see, Bobby. Before we go to break, why don't you get your take on this?
Well, they are going to do the investigation. Right now, it does not look good for the Uvalde Police Department.
Right.
And I've heard from PD officers and other law enforcement officials who've said they should have gone in. They could have done something with the number of folks that they had, create diversions, whatever. I'm not a tactician, so I don't know what all the options for them were. The Texas Department of Safety has said that the option that was chosen to hold back was the wrong one.
Right.
Again, it doesn't look good for them at this point. There was a huge gap from the time the officers arrived that continued to arrive and finally taking this guy out. So there's a lot of missing pieces.
I will tell you this, because I said I won't lie to folks when I have these thoughts in my head just to curry favor with the emotion of the moment. I'm just not going to start that in this late time of my life. I gotta look at the guy in the mirror when I go to bed, and I'm ugly enough. I don't want to look in there and say, well, I was really a fake on that because I didn't have the guts to say how I truly felt. But I will tell you this. Kyle said, if my son was in there, my grandson,
yeah,
I probably would have been right there with Kyle going, man, I got my gun, you got yours, let's get over there as quick as you can. I probably would have done that.
Yeah.
That's when if I came in and saw what I saw, them just standing around. So, hey, Kyle, your calls are always great, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a listener. Appreciate you so much, my brother. We're going to take.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. God bless you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got to get into this Gabe Kapler thing and also the Colin Kaepernick thing. They're kind of intertwined there. Some little intersectionality. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat with Bullet Bob Leone. Don't you go away, because Bobby and I come and get you. You don't want that.
We also have Lane Hope on the line.
Mm-hmm. We got to get in. Tell Lane, we've got to get into the store because I promised folks. But if we don't get to her, we will kick off the show tomorrow right after the opening comments with her. Okay, that'll give her a little bit more time. Okay. Howard just flies.
Well, there's so much going on. Man. Yeah, it doesn't look good for those guys in the PD in Uvalde. Doesn't look good.
Yeah,
from everything that we know now, it doesn't.
Where
look
did
good.
they have the training? Did they have?
Supposedly they had a SWAT team.
So does Riverdale. It's Red Musgrave and you and me. It's that'll put the fear of God into the criminal element out there in Riverdale.
Lord help me.
And John Quello. You, me, John Quello, and Red Musgrave.
She said she'll call back tomorrow.
With us. Thank you, Lane. I want to get you tomorrow because you still have more time for your comments. Well, I mean, it's got what 16,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I mean, that's like
supposedly they had a SWAT team, and they had. In fact, they showed it on a Facebook page that there was a SWAT team.
I'd like to see the SWAT team. I'm
just saying.
I mean,
I'd really like.
Barney had a bullet too.
Yes, he did.
You know, I'm not making fun of the thing. It's just and I'm not being an apologist, folks. I just want to let the facts come out. I've just seen too many. These officers got to live with it.
Yeah,
they've got to live with it. And even though we got to make sure that, no, I can't say it, that this will never happen again. To tell the American public that if you add more gun control laws, you're going to prevent another Uvalde, that's a lie. It's disgraceful. And it's mean. It's misleading.
Well, it's disingenuous.
All of those words, you
whatever
cannot,
adjective you want to throw in there.
Exactly. And that's what I have a problem with the Democrats saying. If you just follow us and we put in the same gun control laws we have in Chicago, then there won't be any violence. And the fact of the matter is, AR-15s, you want to make that the culprit? The vast majority of the deaths are by handguns.
30 seconds?
And hammers. Hammers and handguns. AR-15s are responsible for small. So you want to pick out that one gun? Now, you can say that and say, okay, this is one small step. But they pick the most popular rifle because you can retrofit the rifle. You can fix it in
10 seconds?
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
Hey, welcome back to Alan Autry, No Retreat with Bullet Bob Leone. What a blessing it is to have a lifelong friend here with me, and great radio guy. Was in radio back in the day, got into another line of work and back into radio, and we're just blessed here at KXEX to have him. Well, Bullet, there's another... Do I want to call him Knucklehead? We have Knucklehead, Knothead, and Bonehead. Yeah. And I'm going to give him a little slack and call Gabe Kapler, the manager of your favorite team of all time, the San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
the knucklehead is what knucklehead does. Here's another one coming out saying that if they disrespect the American flag by not coming out and standing in the tradition of their grand old game, saying playing the national anthem for the game, that if they disrespect the flag, that will somehow bring respect to the issue they have a gripe about. Gabe has said, I just don't like the direction of this country. I don't like the way things are going, obviously triggered by the Uvalde thing. We're all full of emotion. That feels natural. But you know what? And he prides himself in this. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I just can't go out there and until somebody reminded him, hey, now you got Memorial Day. What are you going to do? Instead of sticking by his guns like Kaepernick did, which I don't agree with Kaepernick, but it obviously, but he stuck with it.
He's been pretty consistent. Kaepernick's been pretty consistent.
Yes, exactly.
Gabe
Kapler says, well, I'm going to make a Memorial Day exemption. What a fake and a fraud this guy is. Gabe Kapler, I know you have respect, but in this aspect of your life, I have zero respect for you and your actions, because now you're going to make amendments, exceptions to your frustration and your anger. I'm going to say, except on Memorial Day. Well, how about other people that love that flag? Your firemen, your cops, all the people that fought, that fought but didn't die, the survivors of that who still salute that flag. What do you think about this? I just think it's just,
well,
come on.
My buddy Dave and I were talking about this yesterday. You know Dave.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this yesterday, and I follow a giant site, so there's all kinds of comments about Kapler's stance. Both
or
sides,
lack of stance.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, he did a great thing, and the other side is, I'm never going to watch a game again. And I guess this is one of those, to me, that's really, it doesn't really hit home with me a whole lot, Hoss. Am I happy he does what he does? No, but it's not going to keep me up at night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess this goes back to my earlier point of maybe getting a little bit more mature in my old age to where, it's not what I would do, obviously, and it's not what a lot of people I know would do. But if that's what he wants to do, it's really not to me. Now, did you see what he did yesterday, though, on for Memorial Day?
No.
Well, he has on his left arm tattooed a remembrance for his father who passed away in December of 2020.
Okay.
And he's got a tattoo on there. So instead of doing this with his right hand over his heart, he did his left hand over on this side of his body. So yeah, he was out there, but he wasn't.
Why? You like pissing on the flag isn't enough? You're going to do a left hand. And hey, listen, I know he misses his father. Obviously, I'm not going to go there in a mean way. But come on, let me tell you why. This still gets to me. That flag, here's the way I look at it, and I think a lot of Americans look at it. That flag represents the ideal. One nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Have we lived up to that as a country's whole? No. Slavery, denying women the right to vote, Jim Crow laws, a lot of that. But we still saluted and honored the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So when you disrespect the ideal, and that was understood by Americans en masse. In World War II, you had African Americans join, knowing full well, here's a country who, as Martin Luther King said, has not lived up to its promise of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. King referred to those two documents constantly and honored the flag because that ideal was embodied in that flag. So when you disrespect the flag, you spit on the flag, you burn the flag, you're burning the ideal. I would ask Gabe Kapler, what do you think that flag represents? Some crooked politicians in Washington?
Well, that'd be a good question because
is that what it represents a little more than that, Gabe?
Yeah.
It represents the ideal, and people saw it that were much more oppressed. You're here managing a Major League Baseball team. You see players of color all over the major leagues and in pro basketball and in NASCAR now breaking through, because this commitment to the ideal of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So that's where it gets me. And if I can't say this, because this was so small, I didn't know this until I actually got a little heat on the heat of the night, no pun intended. And all of a sudden, at 34 years old, people were interested in what I said. Young kids in particular would call me, would write me letters. I got invited to speak to young people everywhere. And, prior to the heat of the night, I was just an unemployed actor. And you didn't get invited to speak to kids at schools as an unemployed actor. You're probably looked down on society way down there. Nothing more not probably going to be invited to a party than an unemployed actor. Then you get lucky in an audition, and suddenly the words you say are meaningful. Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. So what do you do with that platform God has given you? What do you do? Well, I had to do some deep thinking that even though it's not right, that my dad, who got up and worked 12 hours a day, and Pete Leone got up and worked every day, those are the true heroes, not some actor that goes out to pretend to be a cop. But here I am. They're hanging on. They want to know what I think. And I had to learn in a hurry through prayer and a lot of thinking about it, that I had a responsibility. And one of those responsibilities was to make sure that when I spoke to young people, that they knew how much this country is special. With all of its flaws, never lose sight of that specialness that we have. That, we in those documents, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, in its DNA, were built-in answers to the problems that emerged. Slavery was built in, because all men are created equal. Having slavery went against that. So it eventually solved that, women's rights to vote. So when I see Gabe Kapler, who has a lot of fans, a lot of young people looking up to him, hanging on everything he says, I'm just going to throw a conniption fit because I don't like, because my heart's torn up in Uvalde. So I'm going to disrespect the flag and not show up because I'm pissed off at some congressmen, at some politicians. That's why I get worked up.
And okay. I guess I know we need to move on.
No, you take.
I guess my other comment would be, okay, if you're that upset, then what are you going to do, Gabe? What are you going to do to change it? If you don't like the direction, what are you going to do or try to help do to change the direction? Just saying you're upset about the direction, okay, what does that mean in total? What does that mean?
Those are the questions I ask myself. Yeah. I'm sure he's a well-respected guy.
So, and again, he's got the right to do that. He's got the right to protest.
And I have a right to call him out on it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But again, if you don't like the direction, what do you want? What do you plan on doing about the direction? Or are you just going to complain about it? Which a lot of people do.
Exactly. And then what really gets to me is they're so hypocritical. They're so insincere, really. They come across as this passionate act. But when the pressure's really on, I'm left with no other conclusion. As you said, how passionate you were, you ain't going to go. You're going to make this stance, this difficult stance to not come out of the dugout during the national anthem until Memorial Day. So you're making a Memorial Day exemption? How do you reconcile that? So you're gonna what you really feel, what you're saying is that flag means something very special to a whole lot of people. So why do you pick it? Why do you pick that? Why didn't you, when you go to Chicago, why don't you have a press conference in South Chicago about all the little black kids that are killed there every freaking night, Gabe? Even the night games there at Wrigley Field, when you're out playing a game, making millions of dollars, why don't you go down there with the mayor and call a press conference and say that all of this bloodshed must stop because our precious commodity, our children, are getting slaughtered every night? I would back you up on that. That's substantive. But it's cowardly to do what you're doing. You're trying to make a statement, but you don't have the guts, really, to follow through on it. It's like Kaepernick. I respect that he went a little further, but why didn't I ask this question, Bobby? I'd like to expand on it. Why did Kaepernick, who held these feelings his whole life towards America, towards police, towards a racist country, why didn't you take a knee when you were a starter? When you were Super Bowl, when you had the biggest audience Eyes on you. When you could have really, if you really believed in this, why did you wait till you were benched, a second stringer, not playing, then you decided to take a knee? It makes people think, you know what? You like the limelight. You like the spotlight. It wasn't on you anymore. So I have to do something to get the spotlight back. I'm not saying that he did that, but that's what it looks like. So this is what I'm saying. These hypocrites, I'll stand for something unless it costs me something a little heavy. And Gabe Kapler, I've left no other conclusion, is he made the Memorial Day exemption because he knew he was going to get booed in every stadium by veterans who really care about this, these Gold Star mothers. He was going to hit a nerve, and he didn't have enough guts to stand by your moral decision, your brave, courageous decision. And I'm glad Joe Girardi called him out. I really am. And people ask me, you know how big a Yankee fan I am?
Oh, yeah.
Diehard Yankee fan. Yankees and Giants. I mean, Bobby and I argued who was the best center fielder of all time, Mays and Mantle, our whole life.
Yep.
And I finally won him over. He said Mantle. That's absurd.
But then I told some other people, no, Willie Mays.
No,
so.
he never said Mantle. He stuck by Willie. And you know, I have to say Willie was too. But if he was the manager of the New York Yankees, I promise you folks, I'd be saying the same thing. I don't care if they were leading the league by 15 games. You pull a stunt like this with so many people looking up to you, especially young people, and this is the best you can do to air your grievances, is to pick the United States flag that runs so deep in the hearts of so many Americans, and you decide you're just going to whip it out and pee all over it. Okay, well, as Joe Girardi said, you got to live with the consequences of your actions, and Gabe Lapper will have to do that. Well, we got 3 minutes, Bobby. Let's talk about Kaepernick. Should the Raiders sign him?
Well, if it makes good money sense, they'll sign him if he's still capable of
Do you think it
performing.
does make money?
Oh, I don't know. I think they're.
You think people just really buy tickets to see Kaepernick play?
I probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I probably. You know, you always.
But
He's
not going to play.
You always got to follow the money. Well, hopefully he's not going to play.
I take a knee over there.
Our buddy Carr's still doing well. Had his best year last year. So.
But I don't think he has made. I think he's made the decision. He's told general managers and coaches that he won't take a knee, but he's not going to stop speaking out.
Okay. Well, I just think there are too many distractions if he gets signed.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that would be a whole distraction for the team. And you know how teams operate.
Mm-hmm.
And you were on a pro team. You can't have.
I was the biggest distraction of my team with my interceptions I threw.
They were
really distracted.
They were amazed. They were amazed you made the team. Maybe that was it.
That was a big distraction.
But you know, you can't have that dissension and those distractions in the locker room or the clubhouse because it's just too critical to the inner workings of that ball club. So I think if they signed him, it'd be a real distraction. I think there would be that novelty that folks would want to see him play.
Well, he's 34 years old.
34.
Been out of the league for 6 years. The only benefit I see possibly to the team is maybe running the Wildcat, using him like they used Taysom Hill in New Orleans. Bring him 3rd and 2. Let him run that option. He can pass a little bit.
And let's not forget, that guy was an awesome athlete.
Awesome athlete. Awesome
I saw
runner.
him play a couple of times against Fresno State, and he chewed him up.
Oh, yeah.
An awesome athlete.
And Fresno State could have had him, too.
Yeah, well.
But they blew it. But the point is, I think from a pure football standpoint, and you hit the nail on the head here, the Raiders seem to be positioned this year with the total team strength to make a real run in the strong. That NFC West is unbelievable. I mean, AFC West. Oh my gosh, they got 4 of the top quarterbacks in the game. Nosy game on the schedule. They seem positioned with offensive line, running back, defense to make their best run to get to the Super Bowl since Carr's been there. Did they bring in somebody that could even be a distraction to that? Where do they gain from?
I don't think they would. I don't think they would.
Why'd they even give him a tryout?
Well, I don't know the answer. Yeah. Somebody was saying it was, I read somewhere that it was a make good over John Gruden's foul up. I don't know how that enters into the picture.
Hey, they still have the European Football League?
No, but they've got that new USFL that's playing now.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, I don't know what USFL. I'm thinking Europe because he's popular in Europe.
Who?
Kaepernick.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, France is the biggest communist stronghold in the free world. They hate America. They hate police, man.
He hit right in.
If Paris had a team, man, he he would be treated like Tom Brady. Yeah, but they had it. Yeah, I don't think they have that.
Well,
Bobby, I'm looking at the clock, man. Oh, there's Roy and Dale. Leonard Sly.
Leonard Sly.
Pearl, thank you for joining us on Taco Tuesday.
All right,
It's such
buddy.
a blessing.
Where's my
to have you.
tacos?
I don't know. We got to bring them in. I'm just dropping the ball everywhere and live. That's why I became an actor. I dropped too many balls in the NFL. All right, folks. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Good Lord willing, Creek Don't Rise. We're going to do it again on Wednesday with Larry Powell. Boy, I love Larry. God bless you. Remember, just do your best and let God do the rest. That's all he expects of you, so that's all you should expect of yourself. Bye-bye now.